Hello from Marine Money. I'm Jonathan Shear, and this is our Funders and Founders series, a series dedicated to investors, ship owners, and founders of startups within the maritime industry. Today, we are joined by Arnaud Tessier, who is the co-founder and head of sales and client success of ILEX, a new finance platform for loan syndication, trading, and private credit markets in the maritime space, among others. The platform integrates access to global loan markets and a large network of investors, both in the primary and secondary deal markets, and combines it with advanced investor intelligence and market analytics for banks, debt advisors, and institutional lenders to transact efficiently and securely. So welcome, Arnaud.
Thank you, John.
Well, so today's guest is a special one, as we are not only looking to promote ILEX and the excellent offering that they are bringing to the maritime market, but we are also partnering with them to help enhance deal flow and activity in the maritime sector on the ILEX platform. So today you can go to the Marine Money website and click on the Find Capital button on the top right-hand side of the website and instantly begin the process of accessing the ILEX platform. For more information on that, the platform and the partnership, I'll let Arnaud kick it off with telling the audience a little bit about ILEX and what it is doing for the ship finance marketplace.
Thank you, John, and it's a pleasure to be here and talking to the Marine Money community. So maybe to start, a bit of background on ILEX indeed. ILEX is a financial technology company. We were created about 5 years ago in Singapore, even though today we extend across multiple countries in Asia Pacific and in EMEA. We have built a next generation platform for loan market professionals, and we have started by focusing really on the distribution stage of a loan deal value chain. This means the stage where you need to find one or more investors on a deal. And we cover the stages from finding the investor in various ways up to sharing due diligence materials, so loan agreements, things like that in a secure environment, up to recording a commitment before signing the loan agreement. So that means we serve a large array of deal situations. Of course, you have traditional loan syndication, but you also have situations where you have a debt advisor who is going to be supporting a borrower on finding investors on a loan that would not typically be done by the relationship banks of that borrower.
So how would you describe the value that you're bringing to the marketplace? Are you opening up making it more accessible to these loans by kind of democratizing the access to it, or are you making it more efficient in the process from the loan generation to the closing of the loan? How would you surmise the value that you're bringing?
It's a bit of both, I would say, and it's all coming from the pain points that we're trying to solve. So ILEX is not just about shipping, and the platform is meant to cover all market segments, but we decided early on to develop a dedicated maritime vertical on the platform. We find the maritime financing industry very relevant to a platform which is going to connect market players, because ship financing is a dynamic space, quite like the underlying industry it serves. And there have been changes over the past decades, I would say, which have brought some challenges where a platform like ILEX can help. I myself spent about a decade covering shipping in banks, mostly in Asia, and that started right before the GFC. People who remember will recall how stunning it was to see how quickly liquidity froze and there was a squeeze on the industry, especially for mid-size or smaller ship owners that cannot access equity or debt capital markets and have a narrow set, I would say, of relationship banks, which appetite can change very quickly. So you really have a fundamental challenge here where you have on one side a global and fragmented and dynamic financing landscape, which is made up of banks who can enter and exit the industry depending on the cycle, and institutional investors which will do the same. And then on the other side, you have also a fragmented market of asset owners. Depending on the shipping vertical, it can be more or less fragmented, obviously. But they need to find capital for their assets over an economic lifetime, which is going to be spanning in decades. And they have essentially an irregular market windows accessible to them. And so from that perspective, we really think technology and the marketplace dynamics that we have on the ILEX platform can play a role in connecting both sides, in addition to phone and emails, which obviously are set to remain.
Yeah, I mean, that's you bring up a great point. I think I saw a stat the other day where it's like 90% of the market of ship owners on average own, 6 vessels or less. So that is a huge long tail that you guys can help, provide that, access to financing for, which is really incredible. You spoke a little bit earlier about the technology that you're, utilizing from other asset classes and things to bring it to the maritime space. Can you talk a little bit how you've customized the platform to be maritime specific, whether that be, outreach or features or process, things like that?
Sure. So there is in the entire loan market, I would say there is a number of common denominators that you will find in every loan transaction. You have counterparties, you have pricing, you have tenor, you have a country of risk, you have the name of the borrower, but there are also specificities depending on the type of transaction. And especially in the context of asset finance transactions, for example, you're going to want to take into account those specificities because it's going to have a big impact on whether an investor is going to be willing to deploy capital or not for that transaction. So we've made a number, I would say, of customizations or specifications when it comes to asset secured shipping transactions on the platform. For example, you can specify the type of asset, you can specify the flag of the vessel, you can specify the employment, which is very important from a risk perspective, as well as the age or the LTV. Some banks will have challenges funding high LTVs or older vessels, whereas I would say more investors more focused on the metal would be more interested maybe in that aspect of the transaction. So that's one element that we've brought into the platform. Another one is that we've launched very recently an investor portal product, which we think can be a very valuable tool for debt arrangers. It's a website in the website if you want, and it allows a debt arranger to engage with his investor community as well as the investor community that we syndicate on ILEX for various purposes. But beyond pure platform specificities, I think I would like to stress the fact that at the end of the day, what matters is going to be around who's on the platform. You can have a very nice looking specialized product that does a lot of things, but if you don't have a community of on both sides on the marketplace, it's not going to work. Which is why we have allocated resources to spend time with the maritime financing community, which is why we are working with Marine Money, obviously. And I think today, after after a few years of having built that up in Asia and in Europe and in some places in the US as well, we've reached a critical size in terms of the number of shipping investors we have on the platform, and that means we can deliver the network effects that you need for a marketplace to be successful.
Right. I mean, you bring up a great point and a great segue. I was going to ask you, who are the users that are on your platform? What sort of professionals, are they financiers? Kind of any information that you can give us on that. And then if you have any numbers that you can share, also, anything about that to keep the audience, give the audience an idea of like who their peers would be on the platform.
Sure. So on the platform, we have, I would say, two general types of users. On one side, you have the suppliers of capital. So it's going to be banks as well as institutional investors. And I think what we provide, which is interesting and which is probably unique to ILEX in the sense that we spend time on shipping, but we don't just do shipping, is that you're going to find both people that are really specialized in shipping and will not do anything else, but you also find people that are more generalist and that may do shipping at one time in the cycle and may not do it in another time of the cycle. And I think it's important to keep in mind that there is a bit of a revolving door situation in the ship financing landscape, where people come in and come out over a long period of time for sure, but they still come in and come out. On the other side, you have the people that are looking for capital, and from that perspective, ILEX is not looking to directly connect borrowers with investors. But what we have on the supply side are deal arrangers, which can be either banks, so they can be obviously shipping banks, and there's a number of them in the market, but also very interestingly, debt advisors, which can be small shops or large shops, and which we believe can play a very important role in the industry. We talked earlier about how supply has been changing in the industry. I think one of the other things interesting happening in the industry is how the regulatory environment is changing, and how for capital intensive industries like shipping, it's becoming increasingly difficult for banks to fund ship owners, and especially the smaller ones that don't have a big wallet of products a bank can sell into, or that don't have the critical size to meet kind of like the risk appetite parameters of a bank. And from that perspective, debt advisors play a pivotal role, we think, in helping ship owners arrange deals that are financeable and that can then be put onto the platform. So today on ILEX, you have, depending on how you count, in aggregate, we have over 500 loan desks on, that are on the platform and that are using the platform to source deals from their privileged relationship, I would say, deal arrangers, or from the broader market. We have a number of them which are purely specialized in shipping, probably around 50 of them. And we've had today, I would say, close to 100 transportation transactions put onto the platform, of which the vast majority is on the shipping side. And we see those numbers increasing substantially just because of, I would say, reaching a bit of a tipping point and reaping the rewards from the efforts we've put over the last 2 years in terms of engagement with the community.
I guess, sorry to interrupt, but so the alternative credit and capital providers are probably a big market for your platform, right? Like that seems super appealing because the sorts of like potential deals on the platform would probably fit their investment parameters a little bit closer than the traditional banks. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's also a geographical element, right? You have a lot of capital available in Asia, for example, right? It's a very deposit heavy banking industry. A lot of banks need to put to work US dollars often. But those are platforms, I would say, which often do not have an international presence. So unless you're a debt arranger or you're a bank with physical presence in Asia, you're going to essentially be limited in the amount of interaction you're going to be able to have with those people who may sit in various countries around Asia, which in itself is obviously a very large continent. So with a platform, you essentially have operating leverage. Again, you can, in a few minutes, set up a deal, configure it with all the confidentiality parameters you want to attach to it, in terms of disclosure of the board's name, of your own name, of pricing. You totally control how you present the assets. I think it's very important. We're not in the public market. The level of disclosure is very sensitive. And so what we do here is we really put in the hands of the deal arranger total control around disclosure and distribution. And therefore, the leverage that the platform provides is really one where you can maximize the chances of getting the best deal for your board.
I think that we've come to the end of our time. Arnaud, thank you very much for coming on the show and discussing with us ILEX platform and our partnership. I guess, is there any closing remarks you want to make before we thank the audience?
Thank you, John, again for the time here. Sure, very happy to do so. So, I'd really invite all the debt arrangers, all the loan investors, all the ship owners that are listening to us today to take a look at the Find Capital page on the Marimony website, to contact ILEX, to hear more directly from us about what we're doing and how it works, and then to see for themselves how it can help with their business.
That's great. And Arnaud, we couldn't agree more with your energy and your passion for what you're trying to bring to the industry. So we really appreciate that and our partnership. So also thank you to our audience for tuning in, and be sure to catch up with our previous episodes available on our website or on Spotify.